Over 4.4 million on one property in 1 year. That's right. It's totally crazy, and I'm really excited to dive into the numbers and talk about this property, how we did it. Now, before we get started, everybody, if you could hit like and subscribe, that is the currency of YouTube, and that's how we appease the YouTube gods. So please help me out. With that, we're gonna dive into this, and there's gonna be a lot of numbers, and I mean like a lot of numbers. So we're gonna present it, we're gonna talk about it, and allow you to follow along to know exactly what happened in this property, how we did it, how we accomplished this, because it's a perfect case study and it's the perfect kind of property that I like, the ones that have huge upside. So let's dive into it. Okay, first off, this was an off-market deal. This was an off-market deal, and it was still in a major market. It was on the outskirts of a major market. This was a mom and pop ran storage facility. It was right around 80,000 net rentable square feet. That equates to, I think it was right around 600 storage unit doors. It was a great property. The condition was fairly well. There wasn't anything torn down, run, and was paved, but nothing had been done as far as operations to the facility. It was on a main road, which was great, and the owners wanted to sell. So the owners wanted to sell, but they didn't want to go through all the hassle. They were elderly, they just wanted their price, and they wanted to walk away. They wanted it to be done. Now, the price associated it was $6 million. This was a price that they came up with. Now, upon looking at their current existing revenue and expense ratio, that put it at a 7 cap. What is a 7 cap? Well, we went over cap rates in another video, so you got to check it out. But real quick, a 7 cap or a cap rate is a valuation tool that we use. Really, you're just looking at the return that your money will get you. But go check out the other video on cap rates, and it'll help you understand better. We also use examples. So the $6 million valuation came with some of these numbers. Let me give it a breakdown so we can talk about it and you can have context to understand this property. Overall, there was around $630,000 gross revenue. That's the total income of this property. Expenses were right around $200,000. That meant the net income on the property, what was left over after expenses, was $430,000. So this is not including debt. I will get into the debt here in a minute, but for the valuation purpose, no debt. So we have a net income of $430,000, all right? The $6 million valuation that needed to be paid. Now we have to understand what needed to be done to that property to make sure that it could run and do everything that we want it to do, be the quality offering that we want it to do. When we're talking about revamping or updating that facility, we're talking about something we call capital expenditures, okay? Capital expenditures are what we put into the facility to get it to be brand new. Not brand new. It's not gonna look brand new, but get it to the kind of quality that we need it to be at to give an offering and get the price for the units that we need to get to make sure the deal is a good deal. Now, first of all, you may be asking,
is this a good deal?
Now, that question is a really hard question to answer because a good deal may differ for everybody. When we're going into this property, we're using what we call a value add strategy, meaning we're buying the property, we are adding value to increase the revenue, therefore increasing the value of the facility, value add. We do this in primarily two ways. Capital expenditures, meaning we take all the things that are broken or run down, we fix it up. You may rebuild some portions of buildings, put new doors in, gates, all sorts of things. This facility had very low capital expenditure needs. We needed to move some gates, we needed to update an office. In total, we needed around $60,000 in capital expenditures on this asset to improve it to a way that was more of a functional use than actually a value offering or a value presentation to our customers, our potential tenants. The reason was the gate was outside, on the outside, and the office was on the inside. That made it hard for access. This is quite common in self-storage. We see this all the time. We are currently adjusting access points and gates on 3 facilities that we have bought. Very common type. This makes it hard for customers to park in front of the office and have access, and also remain a secure facility. We want customers to have ease and access potential customers to have ease of access to enter into the office. That way we can sell them a unit and give them the value proposition while also having the facility shut, locked, and secured for all existing tenants. You can see why, if the office is inside the gate, that makes it hard. The value proposition to a tenant is done in the office. It's not done in the back at a storage unit. It's done right there in the office. Well-trained staff and a nice office that is presentable, looks nice, secure, and makes the customer feel comfortable goes a long way in that perceived value of what they're buying. That's very important. All that was around $60,000. So, did we pay the $6 million? Of course not. We needed to put a down payment and get a loan. The down payment equaled $1.5 million, which we used investors to come up with the $1.5 million. We put the $1.5 million down and we got a $4.5 million loan. I am not going to go into all of the different types of loans, how to finance anything. That's for another video. For now, we put $1.5 million in, and then we got started. We had a longer contract, which was really nice, to close on that facility. So when we're looking at our close time and when we have to buy the property, the owner gave us a long period of time, months, in which we could do our due diligence. That means we have the ability to look at the facility, look at the market, understand things better before we actually closed. We put a down payment on, and then we had a long time to do diligence. This was really nice, especially when working with investors to get investors in. That is not always the case, and especially right now. So that was a huge advantage to this property. Now, with the $6 million, the question is this a deal or is this not a deal? Well, in order to understand that, we need to understand something really well that is very important. That is revenue potential. What is the revenue potential in this asset? Is it already peaked out? Have we maximized the revenue potential? Is there nowhere else for this revenue to go? This asset, that was absolutely not the case. Rents were severely under market. We had delinquencies. No products like insurance or boxes were being added that needed basic improvements. Operations were just not really there. It was kind of a hands-off management. There was a manager in there, and it was if somebody came in, they could rent them a unit. If not, don't worry about it. Operationally speaking, it was a mess. One of my favorite types of strategies within storage is the value add that's a focus on operation, not capital expenditures, for obvious reasons. We can buy it, improve operations with little capital expenditures or cost, and improve that revenue. This was one of those facilities. We were very excited about it. So now let's cut to the chase. We took over the property, we bought it, and immediately started making changes. We changed the gates, we started marketing, we changed the office, the value presentation, we got new managers that were highly trained. When we attract customers into our storage facility, they're highly trained and able to do a good sale, get them in a unit, get insurance, any upsells that we need to make sure that the tenant has a good feel when they come in, so they're gonna rent from us. That immediately happened. We start going out and doing online ads, okay? Marketing delivered through self-storage is almost all done online. 80% plus of all our tenants come from online ads, straight to the mobile. These are very targeted, and we use a third-party company to do it. You can too. Immediately, we started seeing the rewards. Within a year, this is how that same facility had changed. Now remember, we did no moving of buildings, we didn't rebuild anything, right? None of those things had changed. There was a gate change and an office spruce up, let's call it. Through our revenue management, through our improvements, our marketing, our value presentation, trained staff, we were able to increase in just over a year our annual gross revenue to $928,000. Remember when we started, that was at $630,000. Now the key is that our overall expenses didn't change. They were still the same when we bought it. That means our net income was $728,000. Taken at the exact same valuation method that we did when we bought it, meaning a 7 cap, none of the other things had changed, that gives us a value of $10.4 million. The equity is now $5.9 million in the property, with the net cash flow of $728,000. In essence, we turned $1.5 million into $4.4 million in just a year. That's powerful, and that's very incredible, and it shows the value add strategy in self-storage and how much yield you can get out of it. Now, of course there are risks, and of course there are downsides. We had to churn through a lot of tenants. There was a lot of tenants that had been moved in and never got a rate increase. The rate increase that they received was substantial, and it can be a shock to the tenant system. So it's so important that when we're doing our due diligence, when we're analyzing that market, that we know what the ceiling is. So our overall rent level is here. What's the ceiling? Or what are all the other facilities of similar quality? What are they doing? That spread is what I call the money on the table. And that is where we take it off. Meaning you up the rents, there's huge demand at a higher price, there's nowhere else for the tenants to go. This is an anomaly. I look at it as almost arbitrage. This one facility is not in line with the rest of the market. We buy it, align it with the rest of the market, and we yield the reward. This is a powerful strategy. And out of all the strategies in self-storage, it's one of my favorite. But to understand more of the strategies in self-storage, check out our next video, which goes over 5 main strategies that we use in self-storage to achieve high yields and big returns.